All right, so if you're tuning in, it's because you saw the headline. You know, a common question we hear all the time is, how do I open an IRA? And we're not talking about that, oh, well, you just go call somebody. I mean, literally, what are the steps to open an IRA? So we're going to be covering that today on Investment School. Hey gang, it's Dave Littlejohn back for another episode of Investment School, and we are going to answer another question that I get oftentimes, and it is, how do you open an IRA? Well, IRA is an individual retirement account, and it turns out what we're going to talk about covers a lot of different types of accounts, but we will focus on IRAs today. This could be either a traditional IRA, could also be a Roth IRA. Now, a little bit different, but very, very similar if you were talking about something like a SEP IRA or a simple IRA, but those are business accounts or a workplace account when you have an employer sponsoring a plan. These are for individual retirement accounts, so it's something that anybody's eligible to do, okay? The two type of accounts in question are Roth or traditional. Now you can check out some of our other videos to learn about the difference between the two. But let's talk about the mechanics of the IRA. So it turns out opening an IRA is not all that different than opening a checking account or a savings account at any financial institution. First, you need to open the account. In order to do that, they're going to need to know who you are. So there's some identity information. It's going to include your full name, your birthday, a social security number. If you are out of the country, but you're a legal resident kind of thing, you don't have a social security number, other identification that's going to come with it. Could be a little bit more complex there, but nonetheless, it's kind of name, rank, serial number, right? That's what we're looking for. But you're going to see some other things that come up on the application process. And this is really typical for any organization that will household an IRA. First of all, what do you call the company or the institution that holds the IRA? It's known as a custodian. Okay, the custodian is where the funds go. They have custody of the retirement funds. They're also going to be typically responsible for the tax reporting. So they're going to notify the IRS when you make contributions or distributions, so the IRS knows how to tax you or not. Okay, and then you're going to do your taxes to match up to what they report. So they're going to ask you some questions, like they need to know your age, because the IRS needs to know your age in order to determine whether or not you have distributions and so forth, or tax penalties for early withdrawals. Okay? They're going to need to know your social security number because that's how they're going to track it with you and your taxers, right? They're going to want to also know, and this is the interesting one, your risk profile. Are you investing in something aggressive or conservative? Is it a short time horizon or a long time horizon? And they're going to want to have an idea how much knowledge you have as an investor. Are you very new to this, or have you been doing it for a while and you're more sophisticated? And what they're doing is they are qualifying you in some way so that they get an idea of your sophistication level as an investor. This is actually an essential component of the Know Your Customer rules that came out of the Patriot Act and so forth some years ago, and they persist to this day. So they're going to want to know these key elements. Now, are they going to come back and test you on it? Are they going to say, hey, you said you were an aggressive investor? No, they're not. But they are going to say that if you select investments and they are counter to what you put in as your investment objective, they're either going to notify you, say, hey, this is sort of out of balance, or if you come back later and try to say, well, I wanted to do this, that, or the other, they're going to say, no, you chose this, right? So that's part of what they're doing. But let's kind of skip through the process is simply paperwork. Okay, then the paperwork process is going to, and paperwork is a generic term. You can do this online as well, but it's this documentation enrollment, and then once done, that institution is going to confirm that you are a real person. They're going to check to make sure you're not on some kind of terrorist watch list or anything like that and doing anything nefarious. And then once that's done, they're going to open the account. Now you have an account that's just open, right? It's in your name at the institution. You're either getting digital documentation, or they're physically mailing you paperwork so that you get your statements and so forth. And then how do you fund it from there? You have to put money in. So you can do it in a number of different ways. If you have another existing retirement plan, you can roll money into it. That's a process that's an automated clearinghouse. We got an ACAT, automated clearinghouse account transfer. And so you can move money from one institution to another. Again, they notify the IRS. Everything happens seamlessly. There's a protocol behind the scenes for it. Or you can do an ACH, which I think is just an automated clearinghouse, something like that. That is a direct institutional transfer of funds, not holdings. Right? So you're not moving, say, a mutual fund from another company into your IRA. You just say, I want to put money in, so I want to transfer it from my bank account. Or you could do it the old-fashioned way. You can write a check, they will take it, they will deposit it, and they will communicate with the bank and make it happen. Once you have money in your account, then that money can be used to make investments. The interesting caveat to this is if you were to invest in, say, a mutual fund, you can go directly to a mutual fund company. And this is not an endorsement, it's just an example. Let's say you were going to use, let's pick Vanguard. That's a fairly household name, right? They're very, very large mutual fund company, a lot of index funds and so forth. And you wanted to buy a Vanguard mutual fund. Then you could go to Vanguard, open up an account on their site, fund it, and essentially Vanguard is going to be the custodian, but they're also the manager of your funds, right? So if you have a Vanguard account, you only get Vanguard funds. But let's say you wanted to have some Vanguard, and we'll pick another one again, not a recommendation, but let's call it Fidelity or something like that. You couldn't open a Vanguard account and put Fidelity in there. So what you would do is you would open a brokerage account with a custodian that would allow you to do both. That's something like maybe E-Trade or Schwab or any number of custodians that are available. Certainly if you've come to our office or another financial professional, they are typically working with a custodial firm. So they will have their relationship and their paperwork and so forth. But really what you're doing is you're just going to create that account. You're going to put the money in. And then because a brokerage account is sort of open access, they can buy from both mutual fund companies, put them in the account, and now you've got both Fidelity and Vanguard in one spot. So that's the difference between going direct to a company or going to a consolidation process like a brokerage. But that's the basics, okay? To open an IRA, it's literally verify who you are. Complete the paperwork itself from the institution that needs to track who you are, then fund with the money, and then you can go ahead and buy the investments. The rest of it is dates. There are key deadlines to every IRA, and the biggest one is April 15th is, so it's tax day. If it falls on a weekend, the last day that you can turn in taxes without an extension is your deadline for opening and funding an IRA for the previous tax year. Okay, and then the other one is the last day for any kind of transactions in your IRA when you're making distributions is December 31st, right? So if you want to take a required distribution out, then you have to do it before the end of the year. You can't say, oh, I have till tax deadline of the next year to take out my required distribution. Doesn't work that way. But again, topic for another video where we will discuss some of the money goes in and money comes out of IRAs. This was just mechanics today, right? Paperwork, funding, purchase investments. Yay, success. All right, as always, if you've got other questions or you need clarification on something, please do not hesitate to reach out to our office. You can reach us online, email, phone, all of the usual suspects. I welcome your comments in the videos. And as always, please like, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff, and tell a friend. Thanks, and until next time, this has been David Littlejohn with Investment School.